Over. Thank you all for being here. We're going to start with the state of the school. And those of you who've been to these before, you know that our strategic plan is we always start out with the vision, and that's your children. Confident, courageous, compassionate leaders. At St. Benedict's, leaders are not the traditional, or those of you who think of leaders as the one standing on the front of the bow, pointing everybody go this way. At St. Benedict's, we cultivate what makes them unique and have them understand that that uniqueness, what makes them a little bit different and good at what they are different, that's their leadership style. And so as they leave St. Benedict's, they understand that as diversity, and it's all grounded in faith. And then you're going to hear from our teachers, the heroes of St. Benedict's this year, teachers on the front line all across the nation. Kudos. You all are doing the yeoman's work. This is where education happens. They're the ones that inspire learning. They nurture the growth of your children, not just academically, social, emotionally, and faith. And then at St. Benedict's, they also embrace the values of Episcopal education, which is a big word. But if you ever walk onto a school that has Episcopal in its name, these two blue circles are universal, inclusive, diverse. It's all about community. Love is at the center of what we do. Respect is there, and it's all grounded in faith. But at St. Benedict's, this collaborative learning style that we have developed because of the longevity of our teachers, who you're about to hear from, them working together creates that environment for your kids to work together. And through all of these three things, St. Benedict's is creating academic excellence. Why are we not growing into a high school? It's a model. Preschool through 8th grade has a specific model in education. It cultivates a child while they're still children, before they start looking up to high school as the penultimate. They're the leaders here. So building that leadership style, giving them the confidence they need to understand that who they are and what makes them different will take them into the future, and being able to advocate for themselves and explore all of that with their friendship group, so that when they leave, that group of friends they see in other schools. So from 8th grade to 9th grade is a big jump, but here they have a place to fail. And as parents, that's hard to do sometimes, is to allow our kids to fail, but it builds resiliency, it builds confidence, it allows them to then grow out of that. And so we're hoping that St. Benedict's is a school that you stay with through the 8th grade, but if not, you can jump off at any point. And these schools on the next slide are where our children go. They graduate from here. They go into one of these several different schools that you recognize by name, or the Big W, Westminster, by a letter. But what you may not recognize is the Cobb Academic Division, which is the magnet schools. In our area of Smyrna, the Campbell IB program is a huge part of Campbell. It allows them to get into interbaccalaureate system, but if that's not what your child is built to do, Pebblebrook has performing arts, and Wheeler has engineering, and South Cobb has pre-med. And so there's 7 of these different kinds of areas in the magnet school program at Cobb County that you don't have to move in order to be a part of. And our children are all going to those different schools. So we wanted to give you a glimpse of this as you think about staying with us through the 8th grade. But our strategic plan has 8 different objectives. You've been here long enough, you've seen these, you know them pretty well. I want to run through them pretty quickly so you can hear from your teachers. One of the biggest part of our strategic plan has been the recent past, building our marketing and strategic strategy. As you think about this, marketing, a lot of people think pretty colors or a good website or social media. Nicole Preem does all of that, fellow parent sitting with you all right now. But it's more than that. I want you to think about this as who's sitting next to my child in the classroom. And as you think about friends at the pool or at the ball field or sitting around a barbecue, having an adult beverage with, the children that your children are hanging out with, that's who we're trying to attract. And word of mouth is a big part of what we're about. So as you read through these bullet points, it's really creating a clear message as you're doing all of those things with your friends, to share a little bit about what St. Benedict's is about and who we're about. So we've given you an opportunity Tuesday to pick up some things. We've got enrollment coming out. Those of you have gotten those emails. These are the dates. Because we are two working families in a household, financial aid is a big part of what we're about. So the dates for that are here. And as I was about to share on Tuesday, we handed out yard signs that looked exactly like this. Imagine a school that champions childhood could be in your front yard. If you're in an HOA that can't allow that, we understand. You can still pick those up, by the way. But you can also share things with friends on Facebook about St. Benedict's. Posts that we have on our website, you can share on yours, Facebook or Nextdoor. The stickers that you have on the back of your car are great, and then just talking to your friends. So just let people know about education at St. Benedict's being open and enrollment has begun. After school, 150 of you all have already applied. In the last, Nicole, you can jump in if I'm wrong, but in the last 12 hours, there's a lot of fun things going on this summer. That probably means that we're providing good programming. I'm sure it doesn't mean that you just want your kids out of the house for the summer. However, if it's either one of those two things, these are available online now. And as you know, thinking about our school, two working parents in a household, providing aftercare for them during the holiday seasons and breaks that we traditionally have had, parents need more. So we've offered those also. Fundraising. I know you all love this, but stick with me. Tuition, as you know, only pays for part of what happens at St. Benedict's. The really fun things that happen, the last 3 to 4% of our annual budget is raised by you. You all have done an incredible job of making sure that St. Benedict's has the extra things like professional development for our teachers, the technology in the classroom, the Spanish programs, and all the enrichment programs that we offer. That's because of you and your generosity. Next slide is sort of a glimpse of what that looks like across the school. The top bars up here, that's what's most important to our outside families, our outside community, the fundraisers that look to schools to do something extra. Them seeing that 80% or more of you have given means that we're all in. And that tells a story, and it allows us to do a lot more with what we have because they're attracted to us. And I'll tell you a little bit about more of that later, but this is just a good slide, an overview of what the Acorn Fund looks like. This year, increasing our diversity and inclusion initiatives was a part of the foundation. The raising of that money allows us to not just use diversity in our mission statement, but it allows us to put rubber to the road. And for educators, that happens with curriculum. And Pollyanna is a curriculum that's out there. It's going to enrich what we do. It's going to increase the racial literacy of our children and enable them to see a world when they go to the workplace that looks like their classroom right now. Smyrna is unique. We've got 40% minority in Smyrna, and our school reflects that in the classroom. And so when they go into the workforce, looking around, what voice is missing? And that's part of what this racial literacy is all about. And then as we move into next year, teachers are going to be trained with that in pre-planning, and then we're going to do sort of like a survey, an inventory to see where we are in the spectrum of acceptance. And this company is going to work with us to help lay some touch points and some bars that we can actually look to increase our inclusion at the school. So this is exciting for us. If you have not been paying attention, we've got 2 pandemics going on, so that'll help. Another one of our strategic objectives have been STEAM. Obviously, when you see STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math, that's the first thing you see. But I want you also, and Angela is going to go more into this, but integration, bringing all that into the classroom, into the lessons, having it be about everything all at once, using project-based learning as well as just a traditional class learning and bringing those together. So she's going to talk a little bit more about that. But the exciting thing is because the Acorn Fund is so successful and your participation in that has been so tremendous, we've attracted those outside foundations. Guizzetta, if you've been around Atlanta long enough, you know this name. The foundation is big into STEAM. They were attracted to us. We've been working on this for several years, and they have given us an incredible grant. And so for the next 3 years, these are our objectives. These are the things that we are going to do in the next slide. First of all, hiring somebody who can oversee this, giving them an assistant, and starting from the lower grades all the way up. We're going to be working through the STEAM program that's already on campus now, but making that so much more robust. And so thank you again, Acorn Fund givers. That participation level attracted Guizzetta grant that we are now going to be implementing for the next 3 years. COVID was an interesting point in a lot of schools' strategic plan. A lot of heads of schools that I talked to said we're putting everything on hold because of the crisis. St. Benedict's and our leadership was able to find opportunity, and by looking just down the hill a little bit on the corner, that opportunity presented itself with the Hive. So our 4th grade class has been expanded into what used to be a financial center. And we're very excited about being able to increase our footprint. As you all drive on campus, on the main campus, number 1, you recognize, if you haven't been on the Hive campus, number 2, it's probably the best carpool on campus. Am I right, Angela? Because you run it. And number 3 is the South Campus with our 5th through 8th grade. What we've done, if you look north or at the top of this, that land, if you remember, we've talked about, and it is not out of the picture, but as we expanded and started doing zoning, we put that on hold. And with that, we moved to a plan B that has always been in the background. It allows us to move the middle school onto the main campus. The blue building is where we are now. The pink building allows us to be a 5th through 8th grade with 3 sections, so 12 classrooms, which we are not now. We will be able to have specials in that building. We'll be able to have a cafeteria and a little bit of an auditorium. That's the 3rd phase of our capital campaign. If we are to grow into that in the next few years, we have the yellow buildings there that we will be phase 4 for specials. And then phase 5 is a gymnasium that every single one of us that have ever taken a survey about St. Benedict's and what we need have mentioned. So this is all for you to see that there is still a plan, even though we are not moving towards the land over on Daniel Street. The good news, phase 1 is complete. You probably didn't even know it, or some of you, thank you so much for being a part of it. This is a silent phase that we were able to raise money for the interior of this and being able to renovate this. The next 2 phases, we were trying to purchase the land for the Hive. That again will be a silent phase. So we have a date for that, but it's not going to be out there in the public. Phase 3 is to build that middle school building the next couple of years. If COVID hadn't happened, we would have had a more clear outline, but I think most of us are waiting and seeing what happens next year. Phase 4 again is if we grow into that building to put some specials on, and phase 5 is the holy grail of a gymnasium. So how can you help? Large gifts. Those of you who aren't capable may know somebody, whether they're family or friends. If you do, contact myself or Christy Brown, who's our CFO, or once COVID ends, bringing together a circle of friends. Friend raising is probably my favorite word that goes along with fundraising. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are raising money with a group of people, but you're building awareness. And St. Benedict's is unique. It's a unique part of Smyrna. It's an asset to Smyrna because it gives all of us that live here another option besides the public schools or other schools around. Small community, faith-based. If you know people who are a part of that, want to know more about it, friend raising is what it's all about. Just let us know. And finally, I think the thing that makes St. Benedict so special is what we do in our four walls is equivalent to any school in Atlanta. We do it well, and we do it well because we exceed traditional standards. We hired Angela McKenzie to come on campus 2 years ago. Can't believe it's been 2 years. I think the first time we did this, I said 6 months. She goes, Brian, it's been 2 years. So she excels at this, and I'm going to turn it over to her to explain why we are so good at.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. We appreciate you spending some time with us. It's always awesome to hear about the state of the school, and then it's always fun to take a peek into what next year will look like. So we hope that you are having a fabulous second grade year, though. The year is not over, not even close, and we want you to embrace all that second grade has. But we also want to give you a peek into what third grade is all about. And we have a few of our teachers here with us this evening, so you'll be able to hear directly from them. You know, as Brian said, I mean, every school has standards. I mean, that's just traditional in every school, but it's what you do with those standards that makes a difference. And, as educators, we continually research and read and share best practices. And, that makes a difference within our curriculum. And so our curriculum is what we teach. The pedagogy is how we teach. And then together, that is what comes together beautifully in the classroom to create the exciting, engaging lessons for your students. And then all along there, kind of the other component to curriculum and pedagogy is that continual assessment. And assessment happens in so many different ways, everything from observation to quizzes or tests or, writing. And, as they do get a little bit older, then standardized testing does begin in third grade. So from third grade through eighth grade, we do something called the ERB, and that's the Educational Research Bureau. And we do a particular assessment within the ERB. And, it's not something that we don't prep for. It is not part of like the Georgia milestones or anything like that. And it is something that we'll do in the spring. So along those same lines, when I arrived last year, we partnered with Wright Research, and this particular company was able to customize for us an assessment management system. And so this is an internal database for us that we use in a variety of ways, and very specifically just to measure school progress overall. And so we are able to take a look at data and trends of that data in a variety of different subjects. Some assessments, and then some of the standardized assessments too, and make comparisons. So that's just a little peek into like some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you wouldn't typically see in a classroom. Whoops, we just skipped ahead a little bit. So a year ago, about this time, we were setting forth our 2020 priorities, not really knowing what was on the horizon. And, as we pulled this presentation together to reflect on the year, realized that we really wanted to share with you some of the great things that have happened so far. Expanding our fifth grade to 3 classes. This was the first opportunity that we have had to take 3 classes into the middle school. And in doing that, really wanted to include 5th as middle school. So in the past, it had been K through 5 as our lower school, 6 through 8 middle, and now we are K4 lower and 5-8 middle school. The South Campus is a great place for our middle schoolers to thrive and really embody that middle school culture. And then our K4 students, our K3 being on main campus, and now our fourth graders being at the Hive, we have our own lower school culture that just is robust. So as Brian mentioned, you know, the STEAM program has been certainly in development for several years. And again, when we set forth our 2020 priorities, not knowing we might get the Goizueta Foundation grant, certainly knowing that we were going to continue trying, and just the amount of resources and opportunities that that is going to bring to all of our students at St. Bees from, I mean, really nursery through 8th grade is phenomenal. And we have already started working on that, and we are really excited about what that will look like as we move forward. And then another priority, and this is always a priority, is faculty retention and professional growth. And so, you know, that faculty retention is important for continuity. And then professional growth, we have all engaged in so much professional growth this year, you know, obviously along the lines of technology. And, you know, not only are we better at that as educators, but then that permeates down to your students, because they are awesome at Zoom and Seesaw. And we are just so proud of them and the way they've embraced our one-to-one culture. So who's ready for 3rd grade? Your students may be saying, me, and you may be saying, no, stay little. I get it. I have 2 of my own, and I say that all the time. So this is our amazing St. Bees 3rd grade team. This year, our 3rd grade team is Miss Julie Palmer, Miss Liz Taylor, and Miss Hannah Kissack. They are our 3 lead teachers, and then Miss Haley Parks and Ari Christofferson are our associate teachers. And then not pictured here, but a critical part of our team is Miss Freeman, and she is working with our 3rd grade remote students this year. So I am going to turn it over to the teachers so that they can talk to you all about the awesome things that happen every.
Hello, everyone. My name's Hannah Kissack. I'm so happy to be talking with you guys. We cannot wait to have your students next year in 3rd grade. 3rd grade is a blast, in a word. We do so many things in 3rd grade. And I like to say that 3rd grade is a big year where students grow. So when they come to us in the beginning of 3rd grade, they really are babies. They're 2nd graders. And then by the time they leave us at the end of 3rd grade, going into 4th grade, they're big kids. And so with Loving Hands, we really make them be as independent as possible. And one of the ways we do that is through all of our incentives and all of our positive reinforcement in our classroom, including our St. Bees Bucks, which is basically, we have a classroom economy and the students love it. We learn all about money and the value of money, and try to teach our students to be as responsible as possible from day one in a super fun way. Then we also start each day with our morning meeting, again, talking about that community that we have with our students and making them feel super comfortable and nurtured while still trying to make them independent and getting ready for 4th grade and then middle school. So yes, positive reinforcement, and we use our logical consequences, and it's a fabulous year. In spelling, it really is a continuation from 2nd grade Shirley that they have started and are excelling in right now. And we continue to use the Wilson scope and sequence, and we do a lot of cross-curricular activities. So sometimes we'll be working on spelling and the students will realize, oh my gosh, all these things that we're spelling go along with our grammar rules. So we push those 2 together and help them make connections between those subjects, talking about all these different spelling rules and all these different grammar rules, and really help them become wonderful speakers and wonderful writers. And they love it, and it's awesome. So again, with writing, using those spelling skills and those grammar skills, it comes together through into their writing. And we do a lot of editing in third grade, where students are in charge of their own writing, but then they're the ones responsible for editing their work and deciding, oh, I spelled this wrong, let me change it. And they really take a look at what work that they are doing. And again, that responsibility, making sure that they are the ones that are doing the writing and they're the ones that are checking it. And then they start to take pride in their own work and get excited about it and look at their work. And they're so jazzed that they came up with this fabulous little paragraph. So that's pretty much our writing. We do a whole bunch of different topics. And the big thing in third grade, the cursive. So the students absolutely love writing and reading in cursive. On day one, they're like, why don't we know the alphabet yet? And we're like, whoa, 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 take it step by step, because they're just so excited to learn it. It really does help them remember all their spelling rules, and when they're writing things down in cursive, they connect the letters together, which helps them connect thoughts in their brains. And it really just overall helps them be better students in learning that cursive.
Hey, hi, I'm Liz Taylor. I absolutely love reading. So reading in third grade, we require the students to read independently in hopes that they find a love for reading instead of feeling like they have to read. So we found in third grade, a lot of students find this desire to read more when they find books that pique their interest. In the classroom, we still read aloud to our students, but we would love for like parents and or older siblings to read aloud to their children at home, because this greatly helps like their fluency, their vocabulary, with exposure to new words and comprehension skills, like discussing events that are happening in the story. So we begin the year with a genre unit exploring like different kinds of genres. Then we move into a novel studies unit, which is a lot of fun. It's a lot of Beverly Cleary books that they love. And this is where we read different novels that will take us throughout the year into our end of the year portfolio project, where students are given a book based on their reading level, and they read the novel and they complete like various activities throughout their reading that reflect strategies that they've learned throughout the year, such as like making inferences, making predictions, comprehension, fluency, defining vocabulary, reading with expression, making connections, and visualizing what they read. And they complete this as a group, but which is a lot of fun for them because they like working in groups and they feel very responsible for it and very mature, because it's very student led on their own. But they are held accountable for their own portfolio and they receive like their own grade for it. But it's a lot of fun. They love it.
So with math, we continue from second grade using our Envision curriculum. So the main thing in math in third grade, the main topic really is multiplication and division. So we use all the skills that they have already learned and hopefully already mastered with addition and subtraction to introduce the multiplication and division. And then once they start to master those multiplication and division concepts, we really push into critical thinking and have them sort of think outside the box using those math skills and a whole bunch of other different topics, really kind of all relating back to multiplication and division, which ultimately goes back to subtraction and addition. So our hope is that when they get to us in third grade, they really have mastered those addition and subtraction facts, so that when we get in third grade, they are masters of multiplication and division. And we do our fluency tests in third grade, where students have about 1 minute to write down all of their threes facts, where they have to go 3, 6, 9, 12, all of those facts, and they get really excited and so, again, proud of themselves for being responsible and for learning those on their own. So that's really fun to watch them get excited about math in third grade. And in social studies, we're doing social studies twice a week the whole year. this year, and we go over so many different wonderful topics that the students love. We do a lot of geography right in the beginning of the year, and then economics throughout the entire year with our classroom economy, and talking a lot about what it means to buy something and goods and services. And then we do go into a bit of history, a lot about Native Americans, and some of the most well-known conflicts between Native Americans and colonists. And students do a lot of projects in social studies, and they really learn those skills of working together and collaborating with each other in social studies, which also relates to kind of the bigger picture of social studies, which is current events. And so we pull that into a lot of our social studies classes and talk about, well, this is going on today. Let's compare that to what happened back then. And it's just fabulous to see them grow.
So same thing with science. Science is taught twice a week, and it's a lot of fun. Just like social studies, it's very, very hands-on. They do a lot of projects, a lot of activities, and they just love it. So science in third grade, we cover topics such as like animal life cycles, adaptations and classification, as well as human body systems, which we're learning right now, which is really cool. Sometimes they get grossed out, but it's really, really cool, and they love it.
They're like feeling their heart rates for the circulatory system, and like wanting to hear their lungs, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So rocks and soils and the geographic regions of Georgia. We focus on understanding a lot of the key vocabulary first, and then we dive deeper into each topic. Your child will practice highlighting key information in scientific text and then transferring that key information into their notes. They will be assessed through tests and class projects and various activities throughout the year.
Excellent. Thank you, teachers. And we'll open it up for questions after. So if you have any specific questions about any of the curriculum, we can talk about that in just a few minutes. So third grade Spanish is taught by Senor Miriam Castaneda. So we have several Spanish teachers at the lower school level, but your students have Senor Garcia right now. And so Miriam teaches first and third grade, and Marcela teaches second and fourth. So right now we're kind of on an every other year basis, which is great, but they plan together. All of the Spanish team plans together, and they have a great collaborative environment. And so those of you that can read in Spanish, you're able to tell exactly what we are studying here on the right side. And I think you can maybe make out some of those words, but we focus on different units throughout the year, and really focus a lot on verb conjugations starting in third grade. And so that is quite advanced for Spanish. And, for many of our students have had Spanish since preschool, so they're ready for it. And it's a very exciting time. And our co-curricular teachers, so, all of our co-curricular classes just enrich their days. And this year has looked a little bit different than previous years, just with scheduling, just because of exposure. Typically, these 6 teachers here would see upwards of 300 to 350 students every week. That would be in pre-COVID times. And so we knew in August we needed to make some adjustments to the schedule just to limit the exposure among the teachers as well as your own children. And so we got pretty creative as a co-curricular team and came up with, a different rotation for them. And so, your students have already cycled through all of the co-curriculars, and they'll cycle back through again, but having them for about a month instead of just, once a week. And it's been really great. We have certainly learned in these COVID times to find the silver lining. And I know that one of my silver linings, being that I create the schedule, is that we are now prepared for every possible schedule that could possibly be out there, because I think we've tried them all. Our teachers have been so flexible and just willing to adapt to whatever we need. And so One of the changes that we had to make this year was library and not being able to visit the library. But I think again, we've had a couple silver linings in that. I know that the classroom libraries now are used so much more, and the children are checking those books out of those classroom libraries on a regular basis. And then Miss Painter, because she loves sharing stories with the children, she does Zoom story time. And so she's still able to share all those stories as well. And so next year, your students will certainly have all of these same co-curriculars. And then, I'm sorry, that was my dog. And then we will add a STEAM co-curricular as well. So this is very exciting. You're hearing this for the first time. Now, your children engage in a lot of STEAM activities already. 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. Because STEAM is integration, right? So any of those projects that they do certainly are going to be STEAM and integrated. But we decided we really want to be able to pull more robotics, more coding up through the lower school grade levels. And so we're going to dedicate a specific time in the day for an additional co-curricular. And here is a sample of a 3rd grade schedule. Not everybody's homeroom schedule looks exactly the same, but this is what a sample 3rd grade schedule would look like. And quite honestly, it's very similar to their 2nd grade schedule. Everybody has recess for 45 minutes. That's something that we will keep in place next year. We're not going to take it back to, 20, 25 minutes. We all believe in unstructured play, and they really need that brain break. And everybody will have a co-curricular every single day. Sometimes this year it has worked out that they've actually had 2 co-curriculars within a day. And then everybody has Spanish 4 days a week. And then you can see all of their different co-curricular or core classes there. And then the fact that science and social studies is integrated into almost all of the reading and writing. And this year, with being a one-to-one school, again, this is another silver lining that has come out of COVID, because I'll tell you what, the level of independence that we have been able to see with 3rd graders using Seesaw and using their iPads responsibly has just been phenomenal. We've been so proud of them. And I know they are very excited about it. So I do hope they share some of that with you at home. But, for those remote students, Seesaw and, having their own iPad has really been a game changer, because it's really allowed much greater ease with which they can turn assignments in. That was one of our biggest challenges that we experienced last spring. They're not quite ready for Google Drive, in 3rd grade. And so giving them this Seesaw tool where it says upload here, they know exactly how to take the picture and send it in. And then those teachers also, Seesaw was new for our teachers as well. And so they have had a really great time looking at, all the activities that they could infuse into Seesaw to add to and just enhance what they were already doing. So these are some different ways that our 3rd grade teachers use Seesaw, whether they're in the classroom or whether they're remote. You'll see, math or language arts activities, and then you'll also see some links plugged in for additional practice. And the one thing that we are really hoping to bring back next year too is our B-Buddy program. And so for those of you who may be new with us this year, last year we started B-Buddies, and this is partnering, and it's a mentorship program between different grade levels. Our 7th graders mentor our 3rd graders. And so the 7th graders will come over to main campus once a month. We'll do activities together. We might make Valentine cards, or we might do some Hispanic heritage activities together. And so the goal here is mentorship and building relationships across grade levels. And let me tell you, those smiles say it all. I know we all miss that program. So, like I said earlier, we want you to fully embrace 2nd grade and make the most of every week and every month that you have left in 2nd grade. But we're excited for your rising 3rd graders as well, being the class of 2027 at St. B's as 8th graders. And what we would love to do right now is just open it up for, continued conversation. Any type of questions that you have, you may enter into the chat or feel free just to unmute yourself.
Karen asked if the school year has been next year's school year has been published yet, and we are one date away from getting ready to send that to the board. The board meets at the end of February. We always like to give that to them just to make sure we're all on the same page. So look for that near the end of February, beginning of March, during like spring break. And we love silence because it means good questions are coming.
Father Brian, this is Amy Williams, Reddick and Schaefer's mom. Can you
Yep.
guys hear me?
Yes.
I have a question. If things were to go back to any form of normal, I'm assuming we're prepared for that as well.
Yes. Yeah. So we've got 2 budgets ready for the board. They've already approved those. Trying to figure out what next year looks like and how it's going to look is about as complex as anything you can imagine. But we're leaning towards trying to get classrooms back to a little more density, whether things go back to quote normal or there's a new normal, and we need to understand what that looks like. What we've done in the past is in May, we had monthly meetings over the summer just to see how things evolve. So we'll be presenting different ideas. Again, the board meets at the end of February. So I want to present some of the things that we're thinking about before I go public. But if you think about what we're doing now with more density, what you'll see is an ability for 2 teachers to be in a classroom together, which will reduce the student to teacher ratio. So that'll be better for the kids, I think. The other thing that'll be much more beneficial for teachers is to be able to share ideas and do that collaborative learning environment that we're all used to. This has been, and you all don't shake your heads too much, but it's been really hard on our teachers this year to be in a classroom and be in that classroom with one group of students. I think it's been harder on the students too, to have less interaction with different kinds of styles of teaching. So we think this is where we're headed, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't know what normal looks like anymore. We've done so much innovation in the last year with technology and things like that, that there will always be some sort of virtual possibility for students who get sick and that kind of thing. So we're looking to the future the way you are, hoping for the best, praying for the best. Our teacher safety right now is number one. So being overly cautious and sending grades home when we need to is really to keep them safe, keep the spread down, keep our community safe and that kind of thing. So I don't know if that answered your question. If you want to elaborate and I didn't quite hit it on the mark, let me know.
Nope, that was perfect. And
Okay.
I just want to say thank you for everything that you guys have managed to do this year. It's been phenomenal from my perspective. So I really, really appreciate it.
Well, thank your teachers. It's on their backs. A lot of what we've done is really look to them to just take on more. And so thank them as much as you can. Other questions? Yeah.
What is the student to teacher ratio for the 3rd grade classes this year?
Angela, do you have that number? I mean, it depends on the classroom and who moves in, but go for it.
Right. So we have 3 lead teachers, and our 3rd grade classrooms, one of those 3rd grade classrooms is actually Parish Hall. So it's a really large space. They have 16 students. And then Ms. Kisak and Ms. Taylor are both up in where the 3rd graders often are. Ms. Taylor got to stay in her room. Ms. Kisak took over the music room. So they're all in they're in 3 of our larger rooms. So anywhere from 15 to 17 in those 3 classes. However, we have 2 associates. So they don't each have their own, but at any point in the day, there's always an associate in one of their classes. So, I mean, it's hard to give you an exact number, but it's basically 1 to 8.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful. I know there's 3 teachers, and I wasn't sure how many were in 2nd grade. Is it 3 as well, or 4?
So actually, we started out the year with 3 core teachers, and then we added 1, and it's a very small class of 6 because we had 6 of our remote students who came back in October. And
I get.
Yeah, the other classrooms were full, and we thought they might come back as a class of 10, but they came back as a class of 6, and so one of our classes just happens to be a little bit smaller in 2nd grade.
Yeah, and there was a
Thanks so
floater that
much.
went between 2 of those classes. And so we really have a 4 and a floater. So there are 5 teachers per those 5 classes. I haven't looked at the clock yet. It is 8 o'clock, the bewitching hour. If you haven't eaten dinner yet, God bless you. All right. Well, we're all here available. If you can't find one of the teachers' emails, email one of us, and we will send those questions along. I know next year, 2nd to 3rd grade is an important year. 3rd grade is that year where you stop learning to read and you start reading to learn. And these teachers are specialists, and they do it so well. And as you can see, they enjoy it and love it, and it's infectious. It's fun to hear them talk about what they love to do. So despite the fact that it's hard work, I know they love it. So thank you all for the evening, your time. We look forward to seeing you guys on campus, those of you who are on campus tomorrow, or February 3rd for the rest of the 2nd grade, and have a blessed evening.
Thanks, everyone.